Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. They look like ordinary pennies, but the 1975, 1976, 1977, and 1978 Lincoln cents hold secrets most people never notice. From rare errors to high-grade copper strikes, some of these coins are worth far more than a single cent. Do you have one hiding in your change? The 1975 1-cent coin holds a unique place in the long story of American coinage, carrying the weight of history, tradition, and evolving values of the United States Mint. Although it may appear as just another small copper-colored coin in circulation, the 1-cent piece of 1975 represents more than its face value. For collectors, historians, and numismatists, it reflects both continuity and change, embodying a moment in the nation's coinage system before the major shift that came just a few years later in 1982 when the penny's metal composition was permanently altered. To truly understand the 1975 penny, one must look closely at its design, its minting details, the story of Abraham Lincoln's enduring presence on American currency, the variations and mint marks that appeared, and the value it holds today for those who study or collect coins. The design of the 1975 1-cent coin continues the Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Victor David Brenner, the Lithuanian-born sculptor, created the original obverse design featuring a right-facing portrait of the 16th President of the United States. His initials, VDB, had once appeared prominently on the reverse of the 1909 issue, sparking controversy, but by 1918 they were subtly restored, placed on Lincoln's shoulder. By 1975, the Lincoln cent had been in continuous production for 66 years, becoming one of the most familiar coins in American history. On the obverse of the 1975 penny, Lincoln's portrait appears detailed and resolute. Above his head is the motto "In God We Trust," which has appeared on United States coins for decades as a reflection of the nation's heritage. To the left of the portrait is the word "liberty," a fundamental principle tied to both the man represented on the coin and the ideals of the nation itself. To the right side of the portrait, the date 1975 is prominently displayed, anchoring the coin in its year of minting. Just below the date or near it, depending on the mint, appears the mint mark that designates where the coin was produced, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco. Coins struck in Philadelphia carried no mint mark in 1975, consistent with tradition. The reverse of the coin in 1975 retained the design introduced in 1959, created by Frank Gasparo, which replaced the original wheat ears reverse of 1909 to 1958. This design commemorated the sesquicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 150th anniversary of his birth year. Gasparo's reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a monument located in Washington, D.C. that honors the president's memory. The memorial is depicted with careful detail, showing its iconic columns and steps. At the top of the coin, circling above the memorial, are the words United States of America. Below this appears the phrase E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, reflecting the unity of the states. At the bottom of the reverse is the denomination spelled out as 1 cent. The detail of the memorial is fine enough that under magnification one can even see a small representation of the Lincoln statue inside, a subtle yet striking detail included by Gasparo. From a technical perspective, the 1975 penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, continuing the alloy standard that had been in place for most of the Lincoln cent's production history, with certain exceptions during wartime. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams and measured 19 millimeters in diameter. These copper-based pennies are often referred to by collectors as copper cents, to distinguish them from the later copper-plated zinc versions introduced in 1982, which weigh less at 2.5 grams. This distinction between pre-1982 and post-1982 cents is important for collectors, investors, and historians because of the difference in metallic value, as copper cents sometimes carry intrinsic value beyond their face denomination, especially when copper prices rise. The 1975 penny was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint's output played a role in the year's total production, and the presence or absence of mint marks helps identify the origin of each coin. Philadelphia, the original home of the U.S. Mint, produced hundreds of millions of pennies in 1975. Coins struck there did not carry a mint mark, so a 1975 penny with only the date and no letter below it was made in Philadelphia. The Denver Mint, operating in Colorado, used a D mint mark to distinguish its coinage. Denver also struck hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins that year, making the 1975 D penny among the most common varieties from this year. The San Francisco Mint carried the S mint mark and produced both proof coins for collectors and, in some years, business strike coins. For 1975, San Francisco struck proof Lincoln cents, intended for collectors who purchased proof sets directly from the mint. These proof coins were manufactured with special care, using polished dies and specially treated planchets to produce a sharp, mirror-like finish with strong details. The differences between circulation strikes and proof coins are significant to collectors. Circulation strike pennies, produced in Philadelphia and Denver, were intended for everyday use, carrying the minor imperfections and wear of mass production. Proof coins, by contrast, were carefully struck multiple times to bring out fine detail, with frosted designs contrasting against mirrored fields. Collectors value these proof coins not only for their sharpness and beauty but also for their relative scarcity compared to the billions of circulation strikes. The 1975 S-proof penny holds particular appeal in pristine condition, especially when graded by professional services as deep cameo or ultra cameo. Errors and varieties are another dimension of interest in the 1975 penny. Like many coins, mistakes during the minting process occasionally created unusual pieces that now carry significant collector value. Examples include double dies, where the design appears doubled due to misalignment during hubbing or off-center strikes, where the planchet was not properly centered under the dies. Other errors include clipped planchets, die cracks, or repunched mint marks. While not every 1975 penny error commands high value, rare varieties such as dramatic double dies or proof errors can fetch premiums far above face value. The coin's role in circulation during 1975 also reflects the economic context of the time. Inflation had been rising in the United States during the 1970s, leading to increasing debate over the usefulness of the penny. Even then, some questioned whether the 1-cent coin was worth the expense of production, given its limited purchasing power. Yet the penny persisted and millions of 1975 cents entered circulation, serving everyday transactions in grocery stores, gas stations, and diners across the country. For Americans of the mid-1970s, the penny remained a familiar companion in daily commerce. For numismatists today, the 1975 penny is both common and distinctive. Common, because hundreds of millions were minted and many remain in circulation or tucked away in jars and drawers. Distinctive, because it marks the continuation of the copper era before the upcoming shift in composition. Collectors often seek high-grade examples of circulation strikes, ideally those preserved with full red color. Copper coins naturally tone or darken over time, moving from bright red to red-brown to brown. Coins graded as red, RD, retain their original mint luster and are more desirable, while red-brown, RB, and brown, BN, coins show varying levels of oxidation. Thus, a 1975 penny in mint state red condition can hold significant collector value compared to one heavily worn or darkened by circulation. When considering the value of a 1975 penny, condition is key. A well-worn example may still only be worth face value, or perhaps a few cents to copper enthusiasts. However, mint state examples, particularly those graded MS65 or higher by professional services, can attract collector demand. Proof coins from San Francisco, especially in deep cameo grades, hold higher premiums. Error coins can also command strong values depending on rarity and demand. Beyond monetary worth, though, the 1975 penny holds educational and historical significance, connecting everyday people to a tangible piece of the nation's coinage heritage. The coin also reflects the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln's image on American coinage. Since 1909, Lincoln has appeared on the 1-cent piece, making it the longest-running portrait in U.S. coin history. By 1975, generations of Americans had grown up seeing his face on the penny, linking his legacy of leadership and emancipation to the smallest unit of the nation's currency. This cultural continuity gives the 1975 penny a symbolic value that transcends its monetary measure. The 1976 1-cent coin stands as a continuation of the long and iconic Lincoln cent series, representing America's smallest denomination while carrying the portrait of one of the nation's most influential presidents. Although it circulated in the same way as other pennies before and after it, the 1976 cent holds a distinctive place in U.S. coinage history because it belongs to a year of great national celebration. The year 1976 marked the bicentennial of the United States, the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and nearly every aspect of American life reflected the patriotic energy of that milestone. While quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins received special bicentennial designs to commemorate the occasion, the 1-cent coin continued with its familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse. Yet even without a special design, the 1976 penny remains a part of that broader story, a coin tied to a year when the nation honored its origins and reflected on 2 centuries of history. The obverse of the 1976 penny continued the design originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, featuring the right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln. His image had already been familiar to generations of Americans, and by 1976 the Lincoln cent had been in production for 67 consecutive years. Above his head appeared the national motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase first placed on coins during the Civil War era and now a permanent fixture of U.S. currency. To Lincoln's left appeared the word "liberty," emphasizing one of the central ideals of both Lincoln's legacy and the American story. To the right, the date 1976 anchored the coin to its year of issue, a year significant not only to coinage but to national celebration. Below the date, on some coins, appeared the mint mark D for Denver or S for San Francisco, while coins struck in Philadelphia bore no mint mark. The reverse design, introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, depicted the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., designed by Frank Gasparo. Above the monument appeared United States of America, while the national motto E pluribus unum was inscribed just below. At the bottom of the reverse was the denomination 1 cent. The intricate details of the Lincoln Memorial were captured in fine lines, including the small but recognizable figure of the seated Lincoln statue inside the memorial itself. For collectors, this detail remains an impressive aspect of Gasparo's design, as it shows the mint's ability to include such subtle artistry on a coin of only 19 millimeters in diameter. From a technical perspective, the 1976 penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, continuing the long-standing metallic composition used since 1962. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams and had a diameter of 19 millimeters. This copper-based penny was part of what collectors now call pre-1982 copper cents. Since in 1982, the mint permanently changed the composition to copper-plated zinc, reducing the weight to 2.5 grams. This distinction makes the 1976 penny part of the last generation of true copper cents, coins that have gained additional interest as metal prices fluctuate. The 1976 cent was produced in enormous numbers at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia struck coins without a mint mark, Denver struck coins with a D, and San Francisco struck proof coins with an S. Combined, their production totaled billions of coins, reflecting the continued importance of the penny in everyday commerce during the 1970s. While higher denominations like the quarter and dollar received special bicentennial reverses, the penny's unchanged design demonstrates the mint's decision to maintain tradition for the nation's smallest coin. Still, the 1976 penny carries symbolic weight as a coin struck during the country's 200th year. Proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1976 were particularly notable. These coins were included in proof sets sold to collectors, featuring mirror-like fields and frosted devices achieved through special minting techniques. Proof coins were struck multiple times with polished dies to ensure sharp details. The 1976 S-proof Lincoln cent holds a special place for numismatists, especially in high grades with deep cameo contrast. Such coins showcase the artistry of the Lincoln portrait and the Lincoln Memorial in exceptional clarity, making them prized by collectors today. Error varieties also exist for the 1976 penny, and they add significant value and intrigue to the series. Common errors include double dies, where letters or design elements appear duplicated due to misalignment during the hubbing process. Off-center strikes, where the design is only partially struck on the planchet, also exist and can command premiums depending on the degree of the error. Clipped planchets, die cracks, and repunched mint marks further enrich the variety of 1976 cents. For serious collectors, locating these unusual coins provides a challenge and adds excitement to assembling a complete collection. For collectors today, the value of the 1976 penny depends on condition, rarity of any error variety, and whether it is a proof or circulation strike. A well-circulated 1976 penny may still be worth only its face value, though some enthusiasts of copper coins will pay slightly more due to the intrinsic value of copper. Mint state coins, particularly those retaining full red color, are more desirable. Copper coins are highly sensitive to environmental exposure, often turning brown or red-brown over time. Thus, coins graded as red by professional grading services are the most sought after. Mint state 1976 cents graded MS65 or higher can sell for far more than face value, particularly if they have strong luster and few contact marks. Proof coins from San Francisco in pristine condition, especially those with deep cameo contrast, are also prized by collectors and can sell for significantly higher premiums. Historically, the penny has been both celebrated and questioned. By 1976, inflation was already raising questions about whether the 1-cent coin still had practical value in commerce. Its purchasing power had declined substantially since Lincoln's portrait first appeared on the coin in 1909. Yet its symbolic power remained strong, and for a year tied so closely to the bicentennial, the penny carried with it both tradition and continuity. Even though it did not receive a special commemorative reverse like other coins, the Lincoln cent remained a staple of daily commerce, linking the nation's present with its past through the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. The coin also carries cultural resonance, as Lincoln's image is deeply ingrained in American consciousness. By 1976, his face had appeared on the 1-cent piece for nearly 7 decades, making it the longest-running portrait in U.S. coinage history. His legacy of leadership, emancipation, and preservation of the Union remained a fitting symbol for the nation during its bicentennial year. Thus, the 1976 penny, though small in size, reflected large ideals tied to liberty, unity, and perseverance. Beyond numismatic circles, the penny has been a coin of memory and sentiment for generations of Americans. In 1976, countless people may have received pennies as change at bicentennial celebrations, parades, or while purchasing goods tied to the patriotic mood of the year. Such ordinary coins, though often overlooked, became part of the lived experience of the bicentennial year. For those who save coins as mementos, a 1976 penny can serve as a tangible reminder of that nationwide celebration, connecting personal memory with national history. The 1977 1-cent coin is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, one of the most recognized and widely used coins in the history of United States currency. While at first glance it may seem like just another penny, the 1977 Lincoln cent embodies decades of tradition, artistry, and numismatic detail. Its year of issue places it firmly within an era of American coinage still defined by copper cents, struck in massive numbers for everyday commerce, while also highlighting the challenges of inflation, the value of copper, and the continuing debate over the relevance of the smallest denomination in the nation's currency system. Collectors and historians today view the 1977 penny as more than pocket change. It represents a piece of a story stretching back to 1909, when the Lincoln cent was first introduced. On the obverse of the 1977 penny is the classic design by Victor David Brenner, which had already been in continuous use for 68 years by that time. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln faces right, displaying strong detail in his hair, face, and clothing. Above his head appears the motto, "In God We Trust," an enduring national phrase that had appeared on U.S. coinage since the 19th century. To the left of Lincoln is the word liberty, a word deeply tied to both his legacy and the country's ideals. To the right side of the portrait, the date, 1977, appears prominently, marking the year of minting. Below the date or nearby is the mint mark, when present, indicating where the coin was produced. Denver minted coins carry a D San Francisco proof coins display an S, and Philadelphia coins struck in 1977 have no mint mark at all, following a tradition that continued until the 1980s. The reverse of the 1977 Lincoln cent features the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo and first used in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears reverse. The Lincoln Memorial appears in detailed miniature, with its iconic columns, steps, and pediment clearly defined. Above the structure are the words United States of America, arching across the top of the coin. Just below this inscription is the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, symbolizing the unity of the states. At the bottom of the coin, in bold lettering, is the denomination 1 cent. Careful examination of the reverse reveals one of its most remarkable details: the tiny representation of the seated statue of Lincoln visible between the columns of the memorial. This subtle feature makes the Lincoln Memorial reverse a distinctive and memorable design, one that collectors continue to admire for its artistry and precision. From a technical standpoint, the 1977 penny followed the standard composition of the time: 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams and measured 19 millimeters in diameter. This was the composition that had defined the Lincoln cent for most of its history, though by the late 1970s, the rising cost of copper was becoming a concern for the U.S. Mint. In fact, within a few short years, the Mint would experiment with alternative compositions and eventually settle on copper-plated zinc in 1982, making all cents after that year lighter at 2.5 grams. The 1977 penny, therefore, belongs to the final decade of traditional copper cents, a feature that enhances its appeal for collectors and those who appreciate the intrinsic value of copper coinage. The mintage numbers for the 1977 penny were vast, reflecting the huge demand for 1-cent coins in everyday circulation. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of 1977 cents without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint produced even larger quantities marked with a D. These two business strike issues are the most common varieties of the year. The San Francisco Mint, however, focused on producing proof coins for collectors. The 1977 S-proof penny was not intended for circulation but was sold in proof sets offered directly by the U.S. Mint. These proof coins were struck on specially prepared planchets with polished dies, receiving multiple strikes to create sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. Proof coins from this year often display a contrast between frosted devices and reflective fields, a feature known as cameo or deep cameo, which collectors highly prize. Though billions of circulation strike 1977 cents were produced, not all are equal in value. The condition of a coin is critical in determining its desirability and worth. Most 1977 pennies found in circulation today show significant wear, with their copper surfaces darkened to brown or red-brown tones. Collectors seeking high-grade examples look for coins that have never been circulated, known as mint state coins. These pieces retain their original red luster, free from significant marks or discoloration. Grading services evaluate these coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with mint state coins typically falling in the range of MS60 to MS70. A 1977 penny graded MS65 or higher with full red color can command far more than face value, as such coins are scarcer than worn examples. Proof coins graded PR69 or PR70 with deep cameo contrast are also highly desirable and can bring strong premiums on the collector market. Errors and varieties add another layer of intrigue to the 1977 penny. As with other years, minting mistakes created unusual coins that now captivate collectors. Doubled dies, where design elements such as the date or lettering appear doubled, are among the most sought-after varieties. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the planchet, also exist from this year and can range from minor misalignments to dramatic shifts that leave large blank areas of the coin. Clipped planchets, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and other anomalies further expand the universe of collectible 1977 cents. These error coins are valued not only for their rarity but also for the visual fascination they offer. The 1977 penny also reflects the broader economic and cultural context of the time. Inflation was a continuing concern in the United States during the 1970s, and the purchasing power of the penny had declined significantly since Lincoln's image first appeared on it in 1909. While the coin still circulated widely, its ability to buy meaningful goods was diminishing. Nonetheless, the penny persisted in commerce, with billions changing hands in everyday transactions. For many Americans, the 1977 penny would have been received as change at gas stations, grocery stores, diners, and countless other places, quietly serving as part of the fabric of daily life. Beyond its economic function, the coin carries symbolic significance. Abraham Lincoln's portrait had been used on the penny for nearly 7 decades by 1977, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. His face on the smallest denomination reflects a powerful cultural choice, reminding citizens of his leadership, his fight for liberty, and his role in preserving the Union. For collectors and casual observers alike, the image of Lincoln on the 1977 penny connects them to a larger national narrative, one that values continuity and remembrance through coinage. The coin's copper composition also lends it a lasting appeal. Collectors today often separate pre-1982 copper cents from later copper-plated zinc cents, recognizing the difference in weight, feel, and metallic value. While each individual 1977 penny may not hold significant intrinsic worth, large accumulations of copper cents are sometimes saved by hobbyists who appreciate their enduring value. In this way, the 1977 penny remains relevant not only as a collectible but also as a tangible piece of America's monetary metal history. The 1978 1-cent coin represents a continuation of one of the most enduring designs in American coinage, the Lincoln cent, which by that time had already been in production for nearly 7 decades. Though it may appear as an ordinary copper penny, the 1978 Lincoln cent carries significance in its historical context, its design, its role in commerce, and its place in numismatic study. For collectors today, it reflects both the commonplace circulation coinage of the late 1970s and the final years before the United States Mint dramatically altered the composition of the cent. The obverse of the 1978 penny continued to display the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. This design, which had marked the first time a U.S. coin featured the likeness of an actual person, was chosen to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth. By 1978, the design had been in continuous use for 69 years, making it the longest-running obverse portrait in American coinage history. Lincoln's right-facing bust dominates the obverse, his features rendered in careful detail. Above his head appears the motto, "In God We Trust," a familiar phrase deeply tied to U.S. coinage. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word liberty, a theme both symbolic of the man himself and the larger ideals of the United States. To the right of the bust is the date, 1978, anchoring the coin to its year of issue. Below or near the date is the mint mark when applicable, a D4 coin struck at the Denver Mint, an S for proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint, and no mint mark at all for coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse design of the 1978 penny was created by Frank Gasparo and first appeared in 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears reverse. Gasparo's design features the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., rendered with fine architectural detail. Above the memorial is the inscription United States of America, while the motto E Pluribus Unum is placed just beneath it. At the bottom of the reverse appears the denomination spelled out as 1 cent. Collectors often remark upon the tiny but remarkable inclusion of the Lincoln statue, which can be seen between the central columns of the memorial under magnification. This subtle feature reflects the Mint's effort to preserve artistry even in small denomination coinage. The 1978 penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, the same alloy used for most of the 20th century. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams and had a diameter of 19 millimeters. This copper-based composition was standard at the time, but by the late 1970s, the rising cost of copper had become a growing issue for the Mint. Within just a few years, in 1982, the Mint would change the composition permanently to copper-plated zinc, reducing the weight to 2.5 grams. The 1978 penny therefore belongs to the final years of what collectors now call the copper cent era, making it significant to those who distinguish between the earlier heavy cents and the later lighter versions. In terms of mintage, the 1978 penny was struck in extremely large numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Philadelphia mint, following tradition, produced pennies without a mint mark. Denver, on the other hand, marked its coins with a D below the date. Both facilities struck hundreds of millions of coins, ensuring that the 1978 cent would be one of the most common coins of its time. The San Francisco Mint contributed by producing proof coins with the S mint mark. These proof coins were not intended for circulation but were instead sold in proof sets to collectors. Proof pennies were struck with polished dies on specially prepared planchets, resulting in sharp details, mirror-like fields, and frosted devices. Collectors particularly prize 1978's proof cents with deep cameo contrast, as these coins showcase the design in its most impressive form. The values of 1978 pennies today vary depending on condition, rarity of variety, and whether the coin is a business strike or proof. Circulation-worn examples are generally worth only face value, though copper enthusiasts sometimes save them for their metallic content. Mint state examples, however, can carry much greater value. A 1978 cent graded MS65 or higher with full red color is scarcer than average and can attract collectors willing to pay a premium. The color designation is particularly important, as copper coins naturally tone over time. Coins are typically graded as red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown, BN, with red coins commanding the highest demand and value. Proof 1978's coins graded PR69 or PR70 with deep cameo finish are also valuable, often appealing to specialized proof collectors. Errors and varieties add another dimension of interest to the 1978 penny. As with many years, mistakes in the minting process produced coins that are now considered rare and collectible. Double die obverse or reverses, where design elements appear doubled due to hubbing misalignments, are among the most popular varieties. Off-center strikes, where the planchet was not properly centered under the dies, create coins with dramatic blank areas. Clipped planchets, die cracks, cuds, and repunched mint marks are other types of errors that can be found among 1978 pennies. These pieces, depending on their severity and visibility, can command significant premiums far above face value. For dedicated collectors, hunting for such errors adds excitement to the study of what otherwise seems like an ordinary coin. The 1978 penny also reflects the economic and cultural climate of its time. Inflation remained a challenge in the late 1970s, and the purchasing power of the penny had declined considerably compared to earlier decades. Nonetheless, the coin remained in active circulation, changing hands in countless small transactions. For many Americans, the 1978 penny was a familiar and unnoticed part of daily life, whether received as change at grocery stores, vending machines, or diners. Despite debates about its usefulness, the penny persisted as an enduring symbol of American coinage. Lincoln's image on the 1978 cent also underscores the cultural significance of continuity. By then, his portrait had been in use on the penny for nearly 70 years, the longest-running design in American coinage history. His presence on the smallest denomination emphasized his lasting impact on the nation. Even as the value of the penny diminished in economic terms, the symbolic value of Lincoln's image persisted. The coin reminded citizens of his leadership during the Civil War, his commitment to liberty, and his role in shaping the American identity. For modern collectors, the 1978 penny holds value both as a collectible and as part of the broader story of U.S. coinage. Some assemble complete sets of Lincoln cents, including every date and mint mark, making the 1978 penny an essential piece. Others specialize in copper cents, appreciating the weight and feel of these pre-1982 coins compared to later zinc versions. Still others focus on proof coins, varieties, or error collections, finding in the 1978 penny opportunities for study and enjoyment.